Xylo glowed a vibrant cerulean under the twin suns of Nova Mesa. He adjusted his Stetson, the brim casting a shadow over his multifaceted eyes. His antennae twitched, picking up the faint strains of a saloon piano and the raucous laughter of spacers. A grin, wide enough to split his segmented face, stretched across Xylo's exoskeleton. Nova Mesa was just the kind of frontier town he'd read about in those dusty hollow novels back home on ZX9. He sauntered into the rusty spur, the scent of stale sweat and spilled cactus juice assaulting his olfactory sensors. Humans, cyborgs, and even a gruff-looking Thalaxian from the rival Xylo consortium crowded the smoky bar. Xylo, despite his alien appearance, blended in surprisingly well the Stetson, the worn leather duster, the twin revolvers holstered at his hips, all courtesy of a black market vendor on the last spaceport.
Well, howdy there, stranger.
A sultry voice purred beside him. Xylo turned to find himself looking at a vision. Her fiery red hair cascaded down her shoulders, her emerald eyes sparkled with mischief, and her curves were accentuated by a crimson saloon dress that left little to the imagination. This was no ordinary human. Xylo could sense the faint hum of cybernetic enhancements.
The name's Scarlet.
She continued, batting her eyelashes.
You look new in town. You need a place to stay.
Xylo's antennae twitched again, detecting a hint of ulterior motive in her voice. Still, he couldn't resist playing along.
The name's Xylo.
He tipped his Stetson, his voice a gravelly baritone thanks to a voice modulator.
And a room wouldn't go amiss, ma'am.
Scarlet winked.
Follow me, sugar.
Their flirting continued as Scarlet led him up the creaky stairs to a tiny room. Xylo couldn't help but notice the hidden compartments in her dress, the way her eyes darted around the room. Was she a bounty hunter casing him? An agent of the Xylo consortium sent to capture him for studying human culture? The mystery only added to Xylo's growing attraction. Back on ZX9, romance was a series of predetermined pheromone exchanges. Here, on Nova Mesa, it was a chaotic dance of stolen glances, witty banter, and the constant threat of danger. It was exhilarating. Their flirtation escalated when they joined the bar again that night. A drunken brawl erupted at a poker table, a cyborg accusing a human of cheating. Xylo, remembering the old westerns, saw his chance to impress Scarlet. He disarmed the cyborg with a lightning-fast display of alien reflexes, earning a chorus of cheers and a grateful smile from Scarlet. The following days on Nova Mesa were a blur of adrenaline-fueled chaos and stolen moments under the twin suns. Each sunrise brought a new adventure, a fresh scrape on Xylo's exoskeleton, and a deeper connection with the fiery Scarlet. One scorching afternoon, a shootout erupted on Main Street. A gang of Xylo consortium thugs, easily identifiable by their black and purple uniforms, were shaking down a jittery saloon owner for protection money. Xylo, ever the observer, noticed Scarlet fidgeting with a hidden compartment in her dress. Before he could react, she whipped out a pair of sleek laser pistols and dove into the fray. Xylo's alien reflexes kicked in. He moved with a speed that belied his bulky frame, disarming a thug with a well-placed kick that sent his blaster clattering across the dusty floor. The Xylo thugs, surprised by the unexpected intervention, momentarily faltered. Xylo used the opening to unleash a volley of shots from his revolvers, the loud bangs echoing off the wooden buildings. The fight was a chaotic ballet of laser beams and spent bullet casings. Scarlet, a whirlwind of crimson fury, weaved through the gunfire, taking down thugs with pinpoint accuracy. Xylo, using his surprising agility and natural strength, disarmed and subdued his opponents with a mix of alien martial arts and well-placed punches. The townsfolk, initially cowering behind overturned tables, erupted in cheers as the Xylo thugs were subdued. The grateful saloon owner, a human named Jebediah, pressed a hefty pouch of credits into Xylo's hand. Scarlet winked, a playful glint in her emerald eyes.
See, space cowboy? Sometimes good guys do win.
Later that night, as the stars twinkled brightly, Xylo and Scarlet sat perched on a rocky outcrop overlooking the town. The air was thick with the scent of a roasting voidmaw, basically a space boar, and the distant strains of a saloon piano. Xylo, emboldened by the day's events, confessed his fascination with human culture. He spoke of his childhood, spent devouring dusty hollow novels filled with tales of cowboys and pirates, his voice tinged with wonder. Scarlet, in turn, revealed a surprising vulnerability. She wasn't just a fiery saloon dweller. She was a notorious space pirate captain on the run, her past littered with daring heists and skirmishes with the Xylo Consortium. Yet, she dreamt of a life beyond the fringes of the law, a life filled with something more than blaster fire and stolen loot. As they talked, their conversation flowed easily, punctuated by comfortable silences and stolen glances. Xylo, for the first time, felt a connection that transcended his programmed social interactions back on ZX-9. Here, under the twin suns, a genuine bond was forming, fueled by shared adventures and a yearning for something more. One evening, while enjoying a shared bottle of Xylanian firewine, a potent concoction that left even Xylo with a pleasant buzz, Xylo sheepishly confessed his dream. He yearned to bridge the cultural gap, to write the first ever intergalactic space opera, a story that would capture the essence of human adventure and the wonder of alien civilizations. Scarlet's eyes widened with surprise.
A space opera, huh? Sounds ambitious, space cowboy. But hey, if anyone can do it, I believe it's you.
She leaned in, her voice a husky whisper.
Just promise me you'll write about a redhead with a knack for blasters and a heart full of wanderlust.
Xylo smiled, his heart swelling with a warmth that had nothing to do with the firewine.
Consider it done.
He murmured, his gaze locked with hers under the celestial dance of the twin suns. These weren't just days of adventure. They were the foundation of a story, a memory he would forever cherish, a spark of inspiration for the grand space opera he dreamt of writing. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and red. Xylo sat beside Scarlet, their shoulders brushing. A comfortable silence settled between them, a stark contrast to the usual chaos of Nova Mesa. Yet, beneath the tranquil surface, a knot of worry tightened in Xylo's stomachs. Today was the day his holographic visa expired.
Leaving so soon, stranger?
Scarlet's voice held a hint of sadness. Xylo took a deep breath.
There's no choice, love. My visa.
He didn't need to finish the sentence. Scarlet understood. A single tear rolled down her cheek, catching the starlight. Xylo reached out, his pincer-like fingers brushing against her soft skin. He longed to stay, to explore this wild, exciting frontier with her by his side. But the laws of ZX-9 were unforgiving. The morning arrived, sharp and unforgiving like the desert sun. Xylo stood in his cramped room, his meager belongings already packed. Scarlet leaned against the doorframe, her eyes red-rimmed but resolute.
Don't forget me, space cowboy,
she said, her voice thick with emotion. Xylo pulled her into a tight embrace, his exoskeleton feeling strangely cold against her warmth.
Never, Dee, I'll find a way back, I promise.
A pang of guilt shot through him. It was a hollow promise, a desperate attempt to ease the pain of parting. He knew the chances of returning were slim. ZX-9 wouldn't grant him another visa for a frivolous vacation. Scarlet pulled away, a wry smile playing on her lips.
Don't worry about me, darling. This galaxy's a big place, and I know how to handle myself.
She reached out and touched the badge on his worn leather duster, a simple star etched onto it.
Write that space opera of yours. Tell stories of adventure, of love under a double sun. Maybe someday our paths will cross again in the pages of your book.
Xylo's throat tightened. He nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. With one last lingering look, Scarlet slipped out of the room. Xylo stood alone, the silence a stark contrast to the cacophony of Nova Mesa. He activated his communicator, a holographic image flickering to life. It was a stern-faced ZX-9 official.
Subject Xylo ZX-912, your holographic visa has expired. Please return to the designated retrieval point immediately.
Xylo stepped out into the dusty street, his heart heavy. He hailed a beat-up speeder and headed for the retrieval point on the outskirts of town. As the familiar landscape of Nova Mesa blurred past him, he couldn't help but feel a part of him was being left behind. The retrieval point was a sterile white building that seemed to suck the warmth out of the day. Xylo stepped inside and surrendered his visa to another official. A flash of white light later, he found himself lying on a cold, metallic table. His vision then faded to black. Xylo awoke to the sterile white walls of a medical room. A gentle hum filled the air. Memories of Nova Mesa flooded back, the dusty streets, the smoky saloon, Scarlett's fiery red hair. Was it all just a dream? A soft chime broke the silence. A robotic nurse glided into the room, its metallic voice devoid of warmth.
Welcome back, Subject Xylo ZX912. Your virtual reality holiday is complete. Please report to Sector A of the Astrozilk factories for your reintegration training.
Xylo stared at the nurse, a wave of despair washing over him. Nova Mesa wasn't a dream. It was a memory, a bittersweet reminder of a life far more exciting than the monotonous routine of processing Astrosilk back on ZX9. He rose from the table, his exoskeleton feeling stiff and unfamiliar. As he stepped out of the medical room, Xylo knew one thing for certain. He wouldn't forget his adventure. He would carry the spirit of Nova Mesa with him, a spark of rebellion against the stifling conformity of his world. And maybe, someday, he would find a way to write his space opera, a story filled with adventure, love, and a double sun. A story that would forever hold a piece of Scarlet and the wild frontier town of Nova Mesa. Captains, Xylo's scorching adventure on Nova Mesa just ended. Or did it? This space western was more twisty than a cactus in a tumbleweed typhoon. Did our alien Romeo find love under a double sunset? Or is he doomed to a life of processing Astrosilk? Smash that like button and subscribe for more space westerns, daring pirates, and maybe even a love story that defies logic. Because let's face it, who needs horses when you have a trusty spaceship and maybe a malfunctioning love protocol? Until next time, keep exploring the cosmos with Dr. Sci-Fi.